Hi, my name is Michael Cross, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here.
This has been really a passion project for me, and it has been a really fun hobby. And I say hobby at this time because there is a movement to make this a professional sport.
Oh, wow.
And I'll touch on that in a little bit. But just to give you kind of a little bit of a background of how long this has been around, is in 1989, the first robot combat happened in Denver, Colorado, called Critter Crunch. So you'll kind of find out the people that do this are kind of a little whimsical. So in 1991, Robot Battle started. And then 1994, Robot Wars over in the UK. In 1999, the most commonly known one, BattleBots, which is 250-pound robots, started, and that had a few-year run. Mostly there's a lot of stuff going on with like networks and stuff. And we'll get into that a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. Hit Comedy Central, went on hiatus, came back to Discovery Channel. And right now there's a new episode or a new season of BattleBots being recorded. Now, this may not sound like a whole lot, but what happens is each of these builders, each team are individuals such as myself who are financing it out of our pocket, or I should get this in from our wonderful sponsors.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
And I am a part of a team of about 20 people. We probably have like 30, 35 robots that we field through 3 weight classes. The 3 weight classes are 3-pound, which is this little guy over here, 12-pound, which is this guy, and a 30-pound, which I have not made yet, and honey, I won't do it yet. So what happens, I can kind of, let's see, I don't want to get ahead of myself. The place I go to is called NHRL, National Havoc Combat Robot League. They have been operating since 2018 to today. They've been on ESPN a couple of times on the Ocho channel, but that's for here. Away, we've got RoboCore in Brazil and Robot Rampage in New Zealand. Robot Rampage, my friend Corey, one of my teammates, just went there, and they did this very interesting thing. It was kind of like the Olympics. They had a team from New Zealand, Australia, Brazil, and the United States all come together in New Zealand and have a fight. And that's a wonderful thing, because one of the things that I could not stress enough about combat robotics is the community. This is the only sport that you will see where competitors will actively help each other. Like, I've had one of my competitors break apart one of my electronic components, and I just didn't have the skill to fix it. And he happened to be on a table just like this, pitted next to me. And he's like, oh, I can fix that for you. I gave it to him, he fixed up my part, and I kept going for the day. So the people and the environment at combat robotic events is such a polar opposite than to a lot of events, where there's always the high aggression and must win, must win. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't people there. We give them the nickname tryhards, but that's another story. And because there are different kinds of bots, there's meta and non-meta. Meta, basically fancy word for everything that's kind of mainstream. Non-meta, not mainstream. I have a non-mainstream robot. Most of your mainstream robots have these huge weapons and do massive amounts of damage on impact. But then there's a downfall to them. They can't handle and drive as well. So the different kinds of weapons are, like, this is a vertical, a type. There's like 4 or 5 different types, from drums, discs, singles. I'm not going to bore you with all of the different ones. And like I say, my knowledge and what I could impart to folks tonight is just like a ketchup packet to what's actually out there. You know, and skill levels, I've been doing this for 4 years. My skill level primarily evolves around plastics and UHMWs and carbon fibers, which is, if you're familiar with it, this is a very, very durable material, a very durable composite. And each builder can choose whatever they want for materials. Hardened steel for the weapons and forks generally. And it comes down to all the different kinds of way you want to engage your opponent. Like these are verts. There are horizontals, which are usually these huge blades that skim right over the floor or a little bit higher. And sometimes people take those horizontals and they make these killer robies. Or, you know, you're like those things that's vacuum your floor.
Oh.
Okay, those are called melty brains, and they're extremely easy to build. It is a chunk of plastic that you can screw together, 2 motors, a battery, and some programming. But that programming is insane because you're taking the whole weight of the robot and spinning it like this very, very fast. And they have usually like little weapon blades out on the side. And to get it to translate, they pulse the motors. So instead of it just doing this and this and this, it slows down and speeds up. So then it will go in one direction or the other, depending on how those pulses are. And that's where it gets hard. There's all kinds of robots, from 4-wheel, 2-wheel, shufflers, full walkers, where the whole robot walks just like a critter. Yeah, a gentleman brought in, he called it Crab Rangoon. And it was amazing. It looked and walked like a crab with a big horizontal weapon in the front. So he kind of walked up on people, granted slowly. But when he hit, he made wonderful contact and things. I can speak about all this stuff all night, but so horizontals, flamethrowers. Flamethrowers are allowed. And they've gone through, and I'll touch on the cages. Flamethrowers are allowed with a limited amount of fuel. So recently NHRL had to deal with the state fire marshals and all that. Our combat cages have 2 walls of Lexan. I believe the inner one is like a 1/2 inch and the outer one is 3/4 with an air gap in between, with a massive negative air system. So if there's any like lipo fires and your robot catches on fire, yes, some of these robots have been turned into puddles. And just all the smoke gets evacuated out. And that keeps it safe for the competitors and the fans. Then we have like full shell spinners where the whole outer casing of the robot spins, or just centers where it's just like a blade that will spin around the middle, but it still moves like a traditional like 2 or 4-wheel drive. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff of weapons and material, and that's how you make your robot. And you have to get all of the components on the inside are your basic RC car or drone motors. So in this little spot here, I've got two motors, 2 gearboxes, belted to my tires, and they each have their own ESCs or electric speed controllers. And then this big motor here has its own dedicated one, and that one is for my weapon, and that has a lot more output. When this robot is working correctly, its travel speed is roughly 15 to 18 miles an hour, and the tip speed of my weapon is around 230. So that's not uncommon. My robot is a little on the quicker side because people sometimes sacrifice speed for weapon. And that's the other thing that I really enjoy about this. Whatever weight class you choose, you have a weight with certain things. You can't have guns or EMPs or things to fill up the whole arena with smoke. So barring a few minor exceptions, pretty much what you can imagine, you can put together if you can actually put it together. Yeah, my robot, I have taken the inspiration from a stag beetle. Because in nature, you know, stag beetles, insects, in general, are pretty tough. So I went with that as the cornerstone of my design. Now, when it comes to design, people get inspiration from anything, you know, and it's a personal journey that way. Like, I like this thing. I want to do golf balls, and I want to have this machine that I can drive around and shoot golf balls at people at mad speed, and then have it pick it back up and do it again. I've already kind of thought about it, and as long as you fit the rate of fire and it's not dangerous for the cage, they'll probably allow it. Let's see. So we've got all kinds of weapons. We can do about whatever we imagine. Now, that being said, one of the things that is paramount in this sport is safety. Okay. My weapon spins at 230 miles an hour. I'm out there in the parking lot trying it out. Wee-hoo! It's spinning like mad. I could grab a rock or something and send that pebble at 230 miles an hour at somebody. I'm not sure any of us want to experience that. And also, that being said, our community polices itself. So if we see people doing unsafe things or being inappropriate in whatever fashion, we kind of be like, hey buddy, that's no bueno. People will get banned. I do know of people who can no longer fight robots anywhere in the United States. It's that cohesive of a community. So let me see. Instead of me just prattling on, I wanted to ask if you had questions about any of this, if there's stuff you want to see or have me explain more. Because like I said, I could go this tangent, that tangent, this tangent, that tangent, all around the bend and back, and you won't know anything or find out anything you actually wanted.
What was the name of your group again? Oh.
Team Pandemonium is my team.
And that's within the NH?
NHRL, yes. And there's like a lot of college teams come to kind of show off their robotics teams.
Oh, yeah.
And try to get, people come from all over the world. I've fought people from Brazil, I've fought people from Australia. We've had people come to China because in this realm of combat robotics, like BattleBots is the big one. It happens like once a year, and not everybody can afford a 250-pound robot. They get pricey.
How much would it be?
For a 250-pound robot? That depends on what you use for materials, the build you make and stuff. I've heard anywhere from like 4,000 to 5,000 to 100,000.
Wow.
You know,
Oh my gosh.
so,
My wife tells me golf is inexpensive.
and you know what?
That's
You'll have the clubs afterwards. Maybe not so much, because,
Right.
huh?
It's on
depending on what weight class. I would say for the
Okay.
3-pound weight class, you can get kits out there for $300, $400, $500. And I would recommend going to Just Cuts Robotics. Honestly, not because he's one of our sponsors, but I've dealt with him. He's made a very awesome beginner kit and things like that. So we actually now have resources. We've got websites, we've got podcasts of people just trying to keep the whole combat robotic scene thriving and growing. And that's all it's really been doing.
So I have two questions. One is, when you started this, you literally started with nothing and got a kit or pieces of whatever and put this all together yourself.
Yes,
Like, you didn't get something pre-made that you then adapted to it. You made it from scratch.
all of the above.
Okay.
Okay, so
Right.
when I first started, I got a D2 kit. Now, because of the way the rules are and the way the D2 kit is made, it's like this, and it's just got a huge wedge, and it's a powerful drive, but it has no active weapon. So in some venues, that's okay. For NHRL, that is not okay. You needed to have an active weapon. So I put a little tiny spinner on the front and had this all set up and going, and I did fairly well. And that's one of the other things I should touch on. There are tons of weight classes from fairies, which are, I think, 150 grams,
Oh, wow.
to plants, which are plastic ants, which are 1 pound, and all made out of plastic. So if you have like a 3D printer at home, you could print your whole robot. And so those are very entry level friendly. You know, as long as you have the printer. If not, I would recommend getting a bamboo. You know, but even prices of 3D printers have been coming down for the decent ones. So you can make those and compete. And there's competitions for ants and plants, I think, in Hartford. They've got some out in like Cambridge. So there's even smaller events in Massachusetts and in Connecticut that aren't too far away. And some of them, like competing at NHRL, I have a $75 deposit, but I get it back. So it actually costs me nothing to compete. Some places you have to pay a little. There's a place down in Jersey, I forgot the name now because I'm on the spot, and where I think you have to pay a lot to enter, but there's actually a cash prize. So, also being said, a lot of the smaller venues don't offer cash prizes, but you get one of the most valuable things is time driving your robot in a safe condition with your weapon fully blown out, because the robot will not drive the same when you've got your weapon cranked all the way up, because there's gyroscopic forces, which, you know, this, once it starts spinning at full mass and it's going, it wants to stay going this way. So when you turn, it'll, you know, and the bigger the weapon, the more mass you have out there, the more you get.
So when you're competing as a team, or you're competing one-on-one, or?
It's one-on-one. There are different provisions that you can have, like a 2-on-1 fight and things like that. You can have multi-bots, but generally speaking, it's a mano, one-on-one.
And then it's like an elimination kind of thing, and then.
There is like a bracket. There's tournament style where for NHRL itself, different organizations do it differently. They've got a 3-round preliminary, and if you win 2 of those 3, you get into the bracket. And then from the bracket, you go through, and it's a single elimination until you get a winner. Now at NHRL, they have cash prizes for each weight class, and for a regular open, it's like $1,000 you win. That sounds like a lot, but in comparison to how much time, energy, and effort you put in,
Yeah.
and how many iterations it took you to get there, because at NHRL, it is arguably the best in the world. So
And nobody's in it for the money anyway, you're in it for
I can't say some people might be,
the, yeah.
but I mean it's a nice perk. But nobody's getting rich off this. So, but it is a lot. It is a really great platform. This is one of the things that I like about this platform is you're all a little bit in my age group, right? We didn't have computers when we were growing up, right? So my particular journey made it so I didn't really get involved with computers until my 40s. And I didn't start doing the CADing until the 50s, in my 50s. And actually, I didn't answer your question. I'm horrible.
What was my question?
I'm a horrible person.
What was my question?
You had 2 questions.
Oh, yeah, I did, that's right. I don't think I asked my second one yet,
She didn't ask
All
the
right.
second.
Well, because I confused you and me with saying yes. So,
did I? What was my first question?
The first question.
the first question was kit
Oh, kit, yes,
design.
yes, I remember
So
that, yeah,
I
okay,
started
got
with
it.
a kit,
Yep.
in my bot kit. And I modified it, put that part on.
Yeah.
And then I modified this part and took that off and did a printed version. And then what I did is kind of kept swapping out an aspect of that robot that I focused on learning. Okay, until I kind of went, there's really not anything I can do except the whole one. And then I went to this. And a lot of my design is based on the D2 kit because that's where I got my information. And this one has suffered a fire.
Oh.
I was looking at
wondered,
the
yeah,
corner.
Yeah, so yeah, both of these have been in combat. This one was a while ago, but I can still tell you these got ripped off. That got ripped off. My whole weapon assembly that was here got ripped off. They went through the back and breached my LiPo battery. Now, LiPo batteries are very dangerous. They cannot be put out. Okay, basically they have to burn out. And for each cell, it emits all this smoke and stuff. You can cool them off with a fire extinguisher, but then get them outside. Yeah, so it was like, I believe like this up against a wall, and it had a nice, that's the only fire I've had. Now, my original plan was always to do a 12-pound. So this was my learning platform, moreover than not. Then I moved up to this guy, and even still, even the basis that I had on that, I still have a lot more learning. So one of the things about combat robotics is constant learning. You know, because if you keep making the same thing over and over again, it's not going to work out. I chose this model because I thought it might give you a kind of a representation of how this goes together. You can see the bolts here. So there's a piece of UHMW, which is ultra high molecular weight. So it's like your cutting boards at home. So I have a UHMW frame that goes like this under here with 2 pieces that stick out as the uprights for the weapon. Then all of this is kind of like a phone case. So this is TPU, which is rubber. And so it cases that. And this is all TPU as well. So one of our sponsors, Overture, I get a little bit of free filament, and I print all of this. But still, even if I didn't, the filament on this might only cost like $60. And that's like 2 rolls of filament. But stuff like the carbon fiber generally get outsourced to companies, like Robot Smashing League and stuff, because you don't want to cut that stuff. Knowing the materials and the hazards which they present is also key. Because you could just cut up your carbon fiber and then you breathe in all that dust and stuff, and it'll just shred your lungs. So that's why I say safety is paramount. We have safety boxes at home. We have safety boxes there before we get into the cage. Even getting into the cage, there's even a process. You know, we turn on our transmitter, we turn on our robot, and we have a weapon lock. I've got a thing in here that blocks the weapon from moving. So you turn this on, so if there's any old commands on it to do this or that, it kind of gets sent out into the ether. It doesn't do anything. Then you turn on your robot, and if it has any things left to do, it'll be like, okay, I'm going to do it, but usually it's done. If you do everything correctly, your robot won't do anything except maybe do a little twitch like that. And then once we have our transmitter on, we have our robot on, and we know it's safe, it's not catching on fire and anything like that, then we pull out our weapon lock, the door shut on the cage, then we'll move them. And then if we can get our robots back to the door at the end of the match, we reverse the process and we put the weapon lock in, shut off the power. And that way, just that process alone, which I don't know who came up with that, but that is also a way to keep us very safe. Because if for some reason we lose connectivity to here, we need to have the robots fail safe. So if this goes off for some reason, this will shut off too. And not just sit there and go, and then you gotta wait for the battery to die before you can touch it. Because, I don't know about you, and I ain't putting my hand near it while it's going. So, and then just during the course of the days, go to whatever event and meet amazing people and friends, eventually. So, kit first, modified kit, full custom. And it'll just keep going from there. And that was my journey. Other people's journey who might be savvy at CAD or be savvy with the programming of all these motors and stuff like that, you know, be like, oh, just bust one out in a day. You know, I've got my friend Corey, he could probably make a robot in a day in CAD. You know, but he's been doing this for 10, 11 years. So what was your second question?
So my second question has to do with the actual, when you go and fight or whatever you're doing in the little cage. So two things of that. One is there is actually like how big would a cage be? And are there like people that are sitting on bleachers like all the way around it so that you can see in it and watch it going on? And when you go to something like this, like what is the time frame that you would expect that you would be there from the, like, okay, I'm going to this event today and it starts at noon, you know, when would you have to arrive and how long do you have to be there before, you know, whatever you're doing is done?
Okay. So that would be based on the size of the event.
Okay.
For a regular Norwalk, we usually start at like 7, 8 in the morning.
Okay.
Or actually, the stream starts at 9. We're there at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. And often won't get out, a lot of people won't get out until 10 or 11 p.m.
Oh, wow.
All right, so that is a duration, and that's why they're having a hard time making it onto TV. Because have a whole day of watching this. Now me, I can do that.
Yeah.
But some people just can't. And so they're trying to package it down. We have championships. And they just started a pro league. So every like 3 months or so, they're having like a mini championship of people who qualify and invite only. The end of the year championships, it's a little bit bigger cash prize, 10 or 15 grand. And people who have earned the right to be there from the previous open events compete in it. I've only competed in one as a mini buck driver. So I didn't necessarily qualify, my friend qualified and I was on his team. So we get in there, we mash our bots together, whatever designs we come up with. There's a 3-minute time limit. And it's kind of like a boxing match or a MMA match where you get pins, damage, and control. If you're taking the other person, pushing them around all the ring and they can't do nothing and they're looking silly. Those are all points. And there's judges, there's refs, all of that. So yes, there's also bleachers. They've been working very much on being a spectator friendly. They've set up this bowl. They've got sky cams. The way they do this is a very big deal. They hire people that do normal sporting events as camera operators. They've got, if we took and drew a line right from that corner over, they've got a control room about that size for just broadcasting.
Oh, wow.
And it's good. And they've got a lot of things there, like food trucks and stuff.
I was just, this was
Because-
they're there that long, they're going
But
there.
yeah, there's food trucks, there's all kinds of amenities for the day. Now, at your smaller events, you might start at noon and be done by 5 or 6 or 7, depending on. And those are generally speaking a lot funner, more relaxed. This is very much high speed at an HRL and just, you got a 20-minute time limit repair window for £3, 25-minute repair window for 12, and 30-minute repair window for 30s. So you go into a match, you get beat up, you got 25, 30 minutes to get it back together,
Oh, wow.
no matter what condition it's in. And if you can't, you forfeit.
But you can have help, like you said. that
Oh, yeah.
person next to you helped you, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a whole collaborative, and as a matter of fact, some of the most successful teams in the pits will be like, okay, this is the robot, you're responsible for this, you're responsible for the batteries, you check the motors, you check the drive, you check the weapon.
It's like really a team.
Yeah,
effort.
It's like when the race cars come in.
Yes.
everybody-
yeah, very much, it is that kind of crazy, and that happens a lot on the 30 pounds, on the smaller, like the 12 and 3s, there's not enough room for that many hands.
Yeah.
So,
How big would a 30-pound be? Like, just like approximately?
they can vary in size depending on materials and such. This is like a kind of a big 12-pound.
Okay.
So let me see. Corey will love this question. He'll tell me I got it wrong. I would say that a general size of a 30-pound would be about 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet for your basic, most boxy kind, but one of his robots, I believe, is like about 26 inches wide by about 13. So it depends on how you set it up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some there that are like, I want to say there's one that was like almost 4 feet,
Oh,
and that was a 12-pounder. But it was like all made out of TPU, so it had no weight to it.
Wow.
And that's why it's like more about the weight instead of size. Yeah, it's very much open-ended, because I mean, when I was just a fan, I was looking at it, be like, why don't you fix that? Why don't you fix that? It looks like common sense to me. You just switch it. Then I got on this side. All wrong. But for me personally, I embrace the challenge. There's some people that think this is just insanity. You know, why are you building something so nice and then having somebody destroy it?
So you can build again?
Yeah. Well, I think what I missed was this platform, because, like I said, I didn't learn computers until a later age.
Yeah.
My kids are kind of a little shy. So I started doing this to prove to them to get out of my own comfort zone, to show that I could do something that I've always liked, to get them going. I have noticed that kind of mentality carrying on to others. I've had little kids do artwork of this. Yeah, right? I've had other people ask me if they could copy this because they thought it was so cool. And there is no word, there's no explanation or amount of money that could make me feel that way. You know, and it's just to have somebody be like, and meanwhile I'm thinking, my little robot's so stupid and ugly, I just want to throw it. Sometimes I do, but that's a durability test. No, literally, I would take this sucker and I was like, woo, and see when it land if anything broke. Yeah, there's there's a lot of different ways you can test your robot. There was one guy, and even in his, when you hit a certain point in the day at NHRL, they do these hero shots when they announce you to come out. You know, so then they're pre-recorded. This one guy took his 30-pound, he held it out like this, dropped it straight. I won't do that to your floors. And it's just like, whoa! Oh, well, yeah, it's got to do that anyways. Because the cages for the 3 pounds are like 8 foot by 8 foot. They're 2 plywoods. And the ones for the 12 and 30 pounds are 16 feet by 16 feet.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of room to roll.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Two of these tables, these are 8 foot tables, so 2 of these end to end.
Oh,
Yeah, so-
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much, because it would have to be, that's not quite 4 feet.
right.
But yeah, so it'd need a lot of these tables.
Yeah, but that would be.
But the distance this way would be
Right.
2 tables end to end, that's the 16 feet to get
Yeah.
the visual, but yeah.
Have
Wow.
that for.
So one thing that I wanted to, I can show you and pass around, 3D printing. This was all 3D printed. And there's walls and infill. Walls are basically how tough it can be and how many walls you put up from the edge till when you start doing the infill. On this one, it won't bite you,
Okay.
but you can see where the infill and things are different from
How do you print something like this?
my 3D printer.
Even like these little inner.
The slicing program. So I make a CAD, my picture, and I throw it through a program that makes a G code that tells my printer to do all that.
So like the layers of the black and the purple is all done by the 3D printer together?
Yeah, I had to stop my printer and change the color filament.
But with like this design here, that was done.
That was done by the computer. The top design was done by me. Because that was supposed to be the wings and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So
I've never seen a 3D.
I can pass this around. I'm just going to say, be careful on this little bit here.
Okay.
Because that was the plate that was underneath that. And you can kind of see, or you could probably kind of imagine how much damage that was.
Now, is that something you print to, or is that something you buy?
No, that I actually purchased.
That's one of the ones you say you have to have somebody else do it because you don't want to breathe.
I don't want to breathe it. I don't want to do anything with it. And there are companies like Senka Send, Robot Smashing League, Planeform, and others that are United States or Canada that will make that stuff, and they'll cut it and ship it. And they
So you
do.
just send like a prototype or a diagram or whatever, what do you want it to look like?
I send them one of my CAD files.
I see.
This exact.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then they just say they load the CAD program into their computer, make sure I didn't do anything stupid, and then they can run it. Because on these, I don't know if you're going to be able to see them. You can pass that one around. That one shouldn't be sharp. You see the pockets in that UHMW on the side?
In here?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, those make the robot a little lighter in weight. But when I have somebody do them, I have to do it so a CNC machine can, with like a 1/8" bit, goes around. So all of my corners and all of my angles have to be able to accommodate that.
So is that a reason that you want to do well in like math, like geometry and things like that, or is that a computer related thing?
Yes, the smarter you are, the better it is.
Okay. I'm just
Because
thinking, kids go, I don't know, what am I gonna need math for in the, in the future, or whatever, it's, things like this are gonna be helpful to them to.
oh, absolutely. And it's all, there's a lot of stuff out there on YouTube to teach yourself. And if anybody ever gets involved, the community will embrace you and pull you along. One of the phrases that goes around is, the rising tide brings up all ships. So I help you, you help me, and then we all have better robots.
Right, and then more people are interested, more people get involved.
Yeah. Hopefully, because a lot of it isn't advertised as well. And, we try to get out there. But again, the marketability isn't quite there, but they're working on it.
So how often do you go to an event? Like, do you go every week, every month,
They have them, well,
well, there's probably a difference between how many you actually do and how many you want to do, probably, but.
yeah, let's put it this way. I'd go every month if I could to NHRL, and then probably every other week to whatever smaller event. There's a website, or actually it's a podcast, the Havoc Rundown, that has this information that they are compiling to let people know where events are. And then they're like ranking all the robots. They've started up their own rank, so it doesn't matter where you fight. They're gonna rank you.
This is called Havoc Rundown?
Havoc Rundown.
Wow.
And there's another one that I forgot the name of, and I'd have to look it up, but I've gone there and it's really a poorly designed site, and it's really hard to wield to figure out where, what you're doing. And again, like I said, because everything is basically personal driven. There's no major corporations behind this. Maybe the 250-pound bots, and they're getting something because that's more eyes on their products.
Right, yeah. And do they build those from scratch too? Oh, really?
And a part of this is not only building this has done me wonders for my own confidence in things. Since I started this, I've rebuilt a starter for a snowblower, fixed the electrics on a lazy boy chair. Yeah, because it's
practical things too.
yeah, because it's just like, oh, we need this fixed, and then I'm like, oh wait, I can do that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because not only are there these skills, but there are so many soft skills in between learning different computer programs, soldering, learning how to program these things, finding vendors, finding, who are you going to go to get your parts, staying within a budget, all of those things. So there's so many layers to it. I was doing a tour, a VIP tour, and a kid asked me, when do you start prepping, or how often do you prep for an event? I only had one word: constantly. I'm thinking about other different concepts, or, trying to figure out, well, if I do this, what will happen there? And then there's a lot of things that you get introduced to that you would never think of, but then after you find out they make sense. Like these weapons, when they start spinning, not only do they make all that force, but they also make a down force. So if you've got stuff down here that's too close to the floor, you could be like turning on, it drives fine when the weapon's not on, you turn on the weapon, then instant stop. So there's a lot of iteration, try and fail, and try and be good. And
Do
then
you have a separate room in your house for all this stuff? Oh, maybe
I
I should
should.
ask that question.
I should. It's kind of taken over most of the house.
Or does somebody want you to?
Yeah, does somebody want you to-
I want a separate room. I need, like, that's one of those soft skills. I'm working on my organizational skills. And it's, yeah. A lot of this, you find yourself looking deep inside you to figure out how good you can be on the outside. And then, of course, like when you're at your match, you can be surrounded by, 4 or 5, I don't know, say many. We've gotten up to 1,000 most, but a couple hundred people. And then on the internet, we've got like 1,000 or whatever. And then you win, you lose, then you have to kind of, manage yourself in that moment. And how to, because you don't want to be like,
Yeah.
I hate them. They beat up my toy. And really, a lot of the good aspects of thinking that this is a toy is good. This is my hobby. This is what I do to relieve from normal stress. Some people make this their stress. And it's really about how you apply it, how you apply yourself.
It sounds really character building.
Oh, it is. I'm a wicked character now.
I think you've always been a wicked character.
Yeah, now I'm just a little bit more flamboyant about it. Yeah, I've got when I fight, I've got a medallion that's this big of a planetary gear. Like the old Flavor Flav and the gold chain. And it's ridiculous. And a steampunk jacket that's purple.
Nice.
I was gonna ask, is like purple your theme, or is that the team's theme color?
It is
or-
it's my own color scheme from back in being in gaming and stuff. Black and purple, black and purple,
Yep.
black and purple.
Oh, okay.
So that's something that came along with me.
Does the gaming help you in some of your things you have to do in this, or?
Video games, you would be surprised because you need that reaction time.
Oh.
As a matter of fact, a lot of people will set up their controllers. This is a regular transmitter. Some people will set up their whole robot movement on this, forward, back, right, left, and all that, and they handle it just fine. And this is their weapon over here. Hey, no. I need forward, back, left, right, weapon.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't even use half of the buttons on here. But you get some people that do the more complex builds and stuff like that. They need to use more buttons because they have more features. And so
Like
in
each
that,
weapon might have to have a button or something?
it might need a primer. Some people have dual weapons to counter gyro. They'll have one spinning this way and one spinning this way, and then the forces kind of negate each other. In theory.
In theory.
Yeah, it really depends on how things work out.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole lot of learning, a whole lot of relearning.
Wow.
Any other questions? All right, so I've gone on way long,
No, it's all good.
but and I could go on more. I just need a little water and a good change. Where do you want to go from here? But I will let y'all get on with your lives.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'll stop this if I remember how.
You can join us for some refreshments and then
I would love to.